Hi, everybody. On behalf of TAI Hyderabad, I welcome you all to this panel discussion. My name is Madhavi Uppalapati. I'm the CEO of Prithvi Solutions, a global IT services company. We have three inspiring individuals in our panel today. The panel discussion is Status, running a successful company. Now, all three of our panelists have founded companies and have taken them to making them a large successful enterprise. Our moderator today is Mr. C.K. Ranganathan. CKR is the CEO of Kavin Care. Kavin Care is a FMCG conglomerate that has products in dairy, snacks, and personal care. Then our panelists are Girish Ramdas and Mr. Murugavel Janakiraman. Girish is the CEO of Magstar. Magstar is an online news and bookstore platform. It's like a Netflix for news magazines. And Mr. Murugavel is the CEO and founder of matrimony.com. Again, I think that needs no introduction. I'm sure all of us have had a friend or a family member that found life partner on Bharat Matrimony. With that, I will hand this off to Mr. CKR to take the discussion forward. Thank you.
Good morning, all, and thanks, Madhavi. I'm very happy to share the experience, moderate this session, and also share my experience also as well. Quickly to introduce my co-panelist, Murugavel Janakiraman, very fondly called as Muruga, is a close friend of mine. Is a founder and CEO of matrimony.com, whose flagship brand is Bharat Matrimony, the #1 and most trusted matrimony service. The company is powered by 3,000 plus employees across 130 plus branches in 20 major cities in India. Matrimony.com is India's first pure player consumer internet company to be publicly listed. In 1997, he pioneered the concept of online matchmaking that changed the way Indians marry. Twice he was nominated by Economic Times for the Entrepreneur of the Year award. Besides being awarded Digital Entrepreneur of the Year award by WAT, he was also chairman of the IAMAI, Internet and Mobile Association of India. He is a speaker at major summits, including those hosted by Harvard School of Business, India Today, Business World, IAMAI, CII, TAI, Stanford India, and FICCI. Then the second successful entrepreneur is Girish Ramdas. Girish Ramdas is a co-founder and CEO of Magstar, a New York-based startup that has been making waves in the global digital publishing business. In 9 years, Magstar has crossed 70 million users from more than 150 countries with thousands of magazines, newspapers, and books from more than 4,500 publishers worldwide. He has more than 24 years of experience in cross-platform publishing, including print, mobile, and web development. During this period, he has co-founded and run 3 successful startup businesses. He has enabled magazine companies to go digital and help them monetize their content across the digital world. Girish's deep industry experience in online, mobile, and publishing ecosystem has made him an expert in acquisition, marketing, monetizing digital content across platforms globally. He was voted the CIOL Technology Person of the Year for 2012 for his contribution to the global digital publishing business. He was invited to speak at the prestigious World Magazine Congress in Rome in 2013 to address the world publishers on digital publishing and its future. He was also awarded the TAI Innovative Entrepreneur of the Year award for 2013. He is an INK Fellow from 2013. Fun facts about Girish, very interesting. He has earned 6 Indian national gold medals in rifle shooting and holds the national record in one event. He runs 5 and 10 kilometers every day, and he has also completed a full 42 kilometer marathon. He is an avid tennis player and golfer too, and recently has forayed into badminton and yoga. So very interesting profile, Girish. Nice to see that the curricular activities earning a lot of name for India. So I think as we go into, I think that we have different kind of things. If you look at Girish, which year you started your business?
So Maxter was started in 2011.
Okay.
But then I think I started business pretty much, polishing my father's shoes when I was 10 years old. It was more like a need for pocket money. And then I realized that he's polishing his own shoes every day. And he was an IAS officer, so I believe he had many other things to do. So I used to tell him that I'll polish better than you. Pay me. So I was charging him 5 rupees for polishing. So I made my pocket money by earning it in-house. So I think started very much in advance. So Maxter is 2011, but I think my journey started for the need for pocket money.
So nice to see that. I think you have close to about 10 years of experience. 10 years of experience now in the Maxter starting.
Yeah, we started Maxter in 2011. It's almost 10 years now.
10 years almost. And Muruga, if you have to look at some close to 23 years. And mine, I started in the year 1983. And that is again, if you have to look at some 20, some more than 37 years. So I think very varied kind of experience. I think it's nice to see that. We will definitely, I think we have so much more to offer to the audience. I will quickly start about my journey. I hail from a small town called Kadalur, and it is a coastal town. And my initial days, we are 6 siblings, 6 issues to our parents. Initially, my academic thing was not at all great. Very, very average students. Most of the times I failed. I studied in Tamil medium, and therefore, compared to my siblings, I grew up with a lot of inferiority complex. That was past. And what happened is that is how it is. And with a lot of difficulties, when I went to college, that was the first time English medium. A lot of difficulties and a lot of arrears I passed through. With 28 arrears I had. Eventually passed through after 2 years of continuous attempts. After completing graduation, I passed, and that was nice. I'm happy that I did that. This thing is, after that I joined my family business, which was sachet. And the velvet shampoo, which was the first sachet shampoo. My father innovated. My brothers took it to the greater height. And this was that was the beginning. As I grew up with a lot of inferiority complex, I felt my brothers studied in English medium and they're kind of this thing and all. But within 3-4 months, I felt, hey, business is common sense. I'm not bad as I thought. So I can equally contribute to business and talk with my brothers and concepts and so on. I mean, that blew up my inferiority complex completely. And suddenly I became overconfident, to some extent, I would say. And that has created a lot of rifts because I started challenging their assumptions and questions. And eventually we felt, I felt that it's better to part out. Within about a year's time, I moved out of home. And that is when I think it's a very important, pertinent decision of my life. With 15,000 rupees investment, whatever salary I earned, that's the only saving. First time I saved. And 15,000, I moved out of my house. I think that was a very important defining moment of my life. I told my family I don't want any share in the family business nor in family property. Moved out. 200 feet away, I rented small house with 250 square feet space where my office cum residence started. And initially 1 week I said, I'm not going to compete with my brothers. But later I said, okay, I don't know anything else and better to start shampoo. And I knew only one other thing was my digression was pets. I was a pet lover, grew a lot of pets and grew with a lot of pets. And that I'm very happy. Today, pets itself is one of my big hobby, and a business to me as well. I earn a lot of money there. So that's different. So after getting out of this thing home, I started in a humble beginning, started business, started in nothing. I knew only production when I was with my brothers. I never knew finance or marketing. Many other functions I have to learn myself. Just production is not sufficient, but I learned it the hard way. One of the important things I would say that the sales started dropping from 50,000 a month to 35,000. every month dropping and dropping 5,000, 3,000 like that. So 35,000, that it's very difficult to survive. I have to pay money to my staff for salary. So one last month I said, okay, I am sending you, here is the stock, you sell it off and take your salary. That's the level I was pushed to. And then came with an idea of, because you return back 5 empty sachets and get 1 chick shampoo free, because I can't advertise. I didn't have any collateral to offer to bank also. That was a very difficult, tough period. So that helped me a lot in terms of this thing. The customers were happy that suddenly somebody is return any 5 empty sachets of any brand and get 1 shampoo free. So the retailers encourage school-going kids to go and collect the sachets and in exchange of chocolates. And retailers started giving. Real customers have not come initially. It is more the retailers, those who encourage and try to make money. But from what I used to be available in 1 out of 10 outlets, suddenly at the end of 10th month when the scheme was run, we were 9 out of 10 outlets availability just skyrocketed. And that itself was a big boost. And we started advertising in radio and then eventually to TV at the end of 9th, 10th month, because it's completely organic. Sales started coming back. 35,000 became 60,000, 1 lakh. Eventually, we moved on to a kind of this thing, close to about, say, 10 to 20 lakhs kind of a sales. And that was sufficient enough to advertise and so on. Maximum we got returns is only 20% of stock sold got returned as empty sachets. Very good. And no looking back from there, more and more new brands we launched. I think that we flipped that negative of just getting lost to with that idea. I think that credit goes to the team. Finally, I think we are here over a period of time. We have grown. And today we are, this thing sales was about over 1,800 crores. Very happy to see the journey. Thank you. Now I would like to invite Muruga to talk about his startup journey within this thing and see how kind of first round Muruga, next round we'll come back.
Thank you, CKR. And so good morning, everyone. CKR is a very close friend of mine. And while CKR had a lot of arrears during college days, but he's a avid reader and learned a lot from me in the last more than, I won't say 10 years, more than 10 years. So learned a lot. He's a great marketer, great innovator, and a great leader. Thank you, CKR, for all your sharings and learnings. So thank you for the wonderful introduction as well. So since now we are in the crisis, let me talk about how 3 crises has helped us to become a strong organization. The crisis one was, the .com bubble bust. So in fact, while I started my Tamil community website way back in 1997, that's more of, it's a hobby or I want to do something on my own, while I had no clue about where to begin. So since I was from Tamil Nadu, I started providing services online. I was very good in programming. So I started providing various services online that I was doing out of my, free time and after office hours. I provided various services like Tamil Festival Reminder, Tamil Calendar. Matrimony was one such service. So in the year 2000, I decided, okay, instead of providing various services part of Tamil community website, where matrimony section was getting a good traffic, and that was insight that people want to get married to someone speak the same language. So I decided to launch exclusive Tamil matrimony service. In fact, I want to only Tamil and Telugu because I grew up in an area in Chennai, Rayapuram, where I had a lot of Telugu neighbors. In fact, look at the domain name registration. I reached only Tamil matrimony, Telugu matrimony. That's are 2 domains I want to do it. Then before I launched exclusive matrimony services, I reached all the domain names based on various languages like Marathi matrimony and Punjabi matrimony. Launched brand Bharat matrimony because we want one brand to connect all these regional brands. So that was the right after .com bubble bust, and I was also laid off. Okay, so because the .com bubble bust happened, I was laid off. I was in the US and married through my own website. So that was a challenging decision because recently married and there's house construction also going on back home, and this is a dilemma whether to continue to be in the job, support the business in the part time, or whether to get full time in the business. I told my wife I want to get full time in the business because 2 reasons. One is that obviously I was so passionate that I want to do something on my own. I felt that the matrimony can be a big in the future. and also not getting a good salary also, because I was getting around $120,000 or something. That post the dot-com bubble bust, I was getting only offered $40,000-50,000. Though I was not interested in job, but that's sort of also parallel looking at whether to get into full time or this one. And I decided to move full time into the matrimony venture right after the dot-com bubble bust, and that was a good time also, because after the dot-com bubble bust, and many internet companies went out of the business. So we are a startup, and I actually bootstrapped the business with $10. My initial investment was $10. In the year 2000, almost investing around $1,000. And when I launched exclusive matrimony service, it was kept as a paid service. We are making small amount of money, and decided to put the money back into the business, started growing the business. So with the limited capital, obviously we didn't have much marketing budget. Since the dot-com bubble that busted, while many internet companies went out of the business, that gave a lot of opportunity for us to tie up with the major portal for a very limited cost. We tied up with the Rediff as a matrimony channel partner, Siffy.com as a matrimony channel partner. So we got a lot of traffic, and since it was a paid service, and we were able to monetize and put the money back into the business. Because of dot-com bubble bust, we gave the opportunity to tie up with the bigger portals, and was able to get good traffic, good sign-ups for a very limited cost. So we leveraged the first crisis. And since then, no looking back, I moved back to India. While I was in the US when I started the venture, I moved back to India year 2004. And we started expanding the business. So it was year 2006, we were able to raise the first round of funding. It was the first investment by Yahoo in India. We raised $8.65 million. And by the time the business was around a $4 million business. And 2008, we raised the second round of venture funding. We raised around $12 million. And right after the second round of funding, the 2009, there was the global slowdown. But India was not in the recession, but there's a slowdown in India. So that point of time, you are not only running a matrimony venture. So while you have become sort of successful in the matrimony venture, we also launched various other verticals. We launched property verticals, we launched job verticals, we launched automobile verticals, we launched classified vertical. The strategy was that having created a success in the matrimony vertical, you want to create a similar success in other verticals as well. The other reason was because the people, when it comes to matrimony, we cannot have a lifelong customer, because the people tenure in the matrimony business is always limited. People stay for either 9 months or 1 year. So we cannot have a lifelong customer. Okay, our natural business, people get married and leave the website. In fact, when customers leave the website, we are happy that they are finding a life partner. Today we have almost 5 million members, and that's a current the size of our database. So the business was kind of scaling up, and we launched all the other vertical. The 2009 then slowdown happened. We had only limited capital. So the suggestion from board was that you have to cut down your losses, and we can't run all these various verticals. So you have to close the ventures. So limited capital, losing money. The board advised that we have to close various these ventures and also cut down your losses. I think that was a turning point for me. Because till that time, as a typical entrepreneur, I was focusing on certain areas of my competence, which was product, which was innovation. So I was not a typical CEO who's looking at all the areas and running efficient company. Since I was forced to close some ventures, forced to turn company from loss-making venture into a profit-making venture, that really changed the way I looked at things. Till the time I was an entrepreneur, and that 2009 slowdown helped me become a CEO. It's more like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. I closed on various ventures, and also sold a couple of ventures. I looked into each and every areas of business operation, and I realized that how efficiently business can be run. So that was for me the turnaround period. So I was able to, within 6 months, we were able to change the company, which was loss-making company, into a profit-making company. Since then, no looking back. But obviously, I had to let go a few of my ventures. I had to close some other ventures, and decided to focus only on matrimony. It's not only that 2009 slowdown helped me to become a CEO, and use that. Since we are closed on other verticals, I channelize my energy and focus into what I can do in the matrimony space. Till that time, I was running only BharatMatrimony.com. So I decided to launch exclusive site for various communities. Because in India, while people marry within someone speaks the same language, but when it comes to marriage, people not only marry someone speaks the same language, by and large, marriage in India happen within the community. We saw the opportunity as well as challenge. The challenge of, well, the matrimony becoming popular. What if tomorrow people launch exclusive matrimony site for their community or religion? Why blocked all the domain name? We launched 300 plus sites under the brand called Community Matrimony. In a way, we created our own competition. Today, Community Matrimony definitely one of the business has grown very well. So we launched Community Matrimony. We also launched assisted matchmaking service, a personalized matchmaking service where our relationship manager take care of matchmaking rather than members finding a life partner on their own. So our relationship manager take care of the matchmaking. So it's targeting people who are busy or targeting people who don't have the understanding how to make use of the online matrimony service. We also launched Elite Matrimony service, an exclusive matchmaking service for rich and affluent. Idea is how to monetize. So that was a 2009 slowdown. That's a crisis leverage. The recent crisis of COVID, where we realized that, okay, how to make use of this 2009, the 2020 crisis. So we decided to play offensive and defensive strategy. So we decided that defensive strategy was save wherever possible. Today, beginning of the crisis, it was we have 4,000 plus employees, become a 3,300, almost 800 people are able to optimize. We're not taking a call anybody. It's more like when the attrition happens, we didn't refill or some other areas we had to let go. So we had to put the money back into the business. The different offensive strategy was invest where it matters. So today in the COVID situation, we are not able to leverage on the cost side. We're also able to invest big in the certain areas. So as a company, after 2 years, we bounce back into double-digit growth. So for me, the crisis in a way is a turnaround. Right after 2000, the company was started. We leveraged that ecosystem to tie up with the bigger portal, and that helped us to create the matrimony.com. 2009 crisis, we helped me to become an entrepreneur and CEO that led to launch of various matchmaking initiative, assisted community elite. And 2020 crisis helped me to become efficient and able to put the money into the business. Today become a strong organization and back into double-digit growth. So this on the matchmaking side. What are you looking at? So while you have become strong player in India, okay. Over, sir, or? Okay. Sorry, sir, I'm not able to hear you. You are on mute.
Thanks, Muruga. We'll come back for the second round.
Thank you, sir.
We'll now hear from Girish.
Yeah, thank you, Sikir.
Yeah, thanks, CKR. Thanks, Muruga. I think from my perspective, when CKR was in 1983, I think my 1983 story was polishing shoes. I think at the same time that he was setting up his large venture and his vision, my vision was how do I make pocket money? And thereafter, in my 11th grade, I started my own company with two friends in 11th standard when I was in Don Bosco school, to where there was a need for parties in Chennai. So basically, we started a event management company for just 1.5 years, and we made a couple of amazing events those years. And we were only in 11th standard, and we made about 20 lakh rupees within that period. That was 1990, 1991. Just finished 10th standard, went to 11th standard, made 20 lakhs. So I went back to my father, who was an honest IAS officer. I had to use honest because there are very few these days. So I think his salary was 8,000 for a year. So at 8,000 a year, I brought in 20 lakhs. And I had two friends who joined me. So each of us took about 6 lakhs home. And I showed it to him. He says, you've become too big for your boots. So I said, don't worry, I'm still polishing. Don't worry, my polish is better than yours. Right? So I continued to do that. So I think there was a need from my perspective to earn money. I think that was, the first need from my perspective. And fortunately or unfortunately, I had great parents and I had great education in Don Bosco school. I was a state rank holder in 12th standard. So I'm one of those people who believes that you can do many things and excel in all that you like doing. So I got a state rank in 12th standard, and I was in the national rifle shooting team, and I was in the tennis team, right? And I had a steady girlfriend. You can do all at the same time, right? And still do well. So then I joined Engineering College Guindy. By the time I had closed this, this small venture of events because college needed little more work involved. But then I couldn't stop with that. And then I said, let's start some business to help somebody who already had a business. So a friend of mine, a common friend, had a poultry farm. So it was in chicken business. And I thought that's something that, since I'm an avid non-vegetarian at that time, I said this is a perennial business. So I helped him restructure his, and I was in college at that time, first year, second, restructure the entire business and helped him to do full integration, backward, forward. We set up hatchery, we set up stores across Chennai. So well before this, Suguna of the world, I helped him to do the entire integration of his entire farm unit. But then by 1998, 99, I realized that that's not where I want to be. I mean, it was cool to tell my friends I'm into the chicks business, but unfortunately, it was not something that I saw myself doing for a long term. That's when I went into the software side of things. I'm a mechanical engineer, but then, of course, even in my college interview, they asked me, what is your vision? TCS interview it was, I remember. So in TCS interview, they asked me, so what does your next 5-year look like? I said, I want to start a software company like TCS. I got the job. I never took the job. It was 10,000 rupees salary. Again, more than what my father was earning. But I said, you know what, let me start something on my own. I'm sure I can get more than 10,000 rupees a month in 1996. So then I got into software business. And similarly, in the .com boom, we launched this Galata.com, which was a movie portal with my friend and senior in college, C.R. Venkatesh. So he and I joined together. He had a bunch of, city sites. We kind of merged everything together. And he still continues to my friend and partner after 20 years. And I think it's very important to keep relationships and to keep these, long-term friendships intact as much as possible. So we started software business and we started this movie portal. By 2007, things were going very well. But our advertisers did not understand .com. They still were saying, intercom. .com and internet, they were calling intercom. Right? So it was a big joke internally saying they don't even know what they're buying, but they're buying these kind of things. So then in 2007, we launched the Galata Cinema magazine. It was a printed magazine in English because though my father's from Karnataka, my mother's from Kerala, I am born in Chennai. I can't read any of the 3 languages, but I can speak in English and understand all the languages. So we started an English magazine, and literally on the same day in 2007, Filmfare launched South Edition, Galata got launched. And within a year, Filmfare South was shut down, and Galata became the #1 player in that business. So Galata.com continued to grow, and Galata magazine became #1 overnight. And it was something where true learning, where on the .com side, at that time, we had maybe 3 million users, but no big revenues. We had a magazine with hardly 50,000 circulation. We were making more money than the .com. So we realized that sometimes going to brick and mortar, even though the internet is growing, people should understand what is that business. There's always a right time. So 7 years later, we launched a print magazine, and the print magazine literally overshadowed the .com for a few years. Till, of course, in the 2010, when Steve Jobs was launching the iPad, that's when we realized that, hey, this is a new device that everyone is talking about, and let's do something for that. And we launched Magster in 2011. And I think pretty much one of my learnings throughout my journey as an entrepreneur is that luck plays a big role. Right? We put a lot of efforts. I think between CKR, Murugavel and me, we might have put 1000% effort in whatever we are doing, sleepless nights and midnight, all. But at the right time, some right thing should happen, right? Which is not in our hands. We may call it God, we may call it prayer, we may call it stars are aligning. But I believe that that right thing should happen at the right time, and you may be the right guy to deliver on that. So pretty much in 2010, when Steve Jobs launched the iPad, we launched our own. We didn't think of Magster. We thought of our own Galata magazine. We launched our own app for Galata magazine app. But within a few months of launching the app, we had thousands of downloads. So then we got inquiries from other magazine companies saying, you launch app, you launch for me also. So we were literally started a services business from our software division, which was to make apps. So we made a lot of newspaper apps, magazine apps. And then we were making for one app. Today, app making has become almost free, almost. It's a commodity. I was charging for an app at 10 lakhs, right? 10 lakh rupees for one app. So I do 10 apps in a year, I make 1 crore of rupees. Out of that, profit is at least 80 lakhs, right? So that was a nice business to be in 2009 and 10. We make an app for A.R. Rahman. We make app for Sony Music. So a lot of fun stuff we were doing. And then we said, you know what, instead of doing this continuous making for someone else, why don't we make our own product? So that's when we launched Maxter. My co-founder Vijay and me were literally walking in the park, and we thought, okay, what should we make? Some product. We were brainstorming, and we came up with this saying that we have our own magazine. We know a little bit about this business, so let's launch this. So we pretty much launched Maxter in 2011. We set it up in New York. Of course, that had its own challenges of setting up a US company. Even though we are shuttling between Chennai and New York, we had to bootstrap. We had to put our own money into the business, and we met about 22 VCs. Nobody gave us any money. And then when Kalari Capital was the 23rd VC we met, who gave us the investment, and we found there were two key differences between the 22 and Kalari Capital at that time. Kalari Capital person who met us owned an iPad. The remaining 22 did not. So which means when we spoke to them about apps and iPad and beautiful glossy magazine on a great device, nobody could relate. But that particular person from Kalari who was there talking to us, he had his own iPad, he had Maxter app on it. So we were talking the same terms. It's like going to an atheist and talking about God, or to a person who's going to be brahmachari about matrimony. You will not get the right audience, right? So here was a guy with an iPad who understood in 1 minute. My pitch to him was hardly 1 minute. He was already sold. Of course, then the Kalari team met us, and then we met all of them, and they invested $3 million in Maxter as the first round. Then we raised another $10 million in second round. But like Muruga said, at the right time, some things happen, and the wrong time also some things happen. So we did a lot of growth from 2011 to 15, and then it became a bit stagnant when we realized that people were wanting read all you can. Right, the whole world was reading only thing. I would buy India Today, or I will buy Times of India. I will buy only one title, but that was the advent of Netflix, Spotify. So we are the first company to quickly retool in such a way to make a read all you can called Maxter Gold. So even today we are kind of said we are the Netflix of magazines, Netflix of reading, because we are the only one who started first and growing that business. So we have a nice user base, few million users who are paying us on a monthly or a yearly basis, and they really enjoy the platform and they engage it. So now we have added a lot of new tools into it. And coming to the current COVID scenario also, earlier this year, our entire B2B business, which was very new, we were always a B2C company. We decided we'll do B2B business. And in B2B, we started in like last year end. And by February, no more meetings were happening. Right? So then we retooled the entire thing in such a way that we could do everything online. And we have revived our B2B business with a new technology called Smart Reading Zones. Right? So we've completely innovated. So these new zones have been taken up by hotels. ITC hotels have signed up with us. Taj hotels are going on live. Radisson. Now we're talking to airports. So a lot of new ventures and new ideas come out of such calamities. And I think we all need to learn how to do these things and use our common sense most of the time. I think my time's up for those 6 minutes. So thanks.
Thanks, Girish. I think. So quickly come to the second round. I would just set the context on the kind of thing. I think nowadays getting a loan for a kind of this thing, it's not a big deal. And not loan, I think private equity, people are venture capitalists are there to fund the kind of thing. If the ideas are powerful, if they see there is a power in the entrepreneur, there's a drive, passion, and good quality entrepreneur, good value system, I think the fund will chase. Fund will chase. Actually, that's what is happening across. So when I started, I think that getting a loan was a very difficult one, because I walked through those days are a thing that there was no venture capitalist, and also the banks will ask for collateral. What is the kind of collateral you will have? Will you give me some sure property as a security? I didn't have anything because I walked out of home. And also, if you have to look at, I started a business not with it's a follower. I was a follower. It's this thing is a sachet business. My family was already there. There were hundreds of manufacturers. I was not any different when I started off. I think that was a difficult period. I feel that I realized why we struggled with these kind of ideas. We could able to do the return 5 empty sachets, one get one chick shampoo free. But later, I think series of ideas that has propelled us this thing. Every idea, I think that has got us to the next level. The other important learning for me is it's not just ideas. Many ideas, great ideas, were poorly executed. So the kind of mistakes I did was that didn't had the proper this thing. This is an entrepreneur's dilemma when you grew, that you have people who have grown up with you when you are small, but as the business started growing, it's not able to, they are not able to raise up to the same level. So that challenge as to how you are able to overcome that and bringing in the right talent, upgrading the current team members, all combinations. I think that is a very important struggle I went through. I think it was this thing. But the biggest learning for me is the struggle of assembling the talent and building it as the growth started coming in, putting to the next level. And also, if you have to look at even the execution puzzle, that I think is a very, very important. You can have great ideas, but execution is a very important puzzle. Time and again, entrepreneurs mess up. I did a lot of my own quota on the messing up and eventually to come out. I can also tell two failures of mine. I started in the very early days when shampoo was there. I started a detergent, this thing, soap. That didn't work. It failed. Initially, it took off well. After that, I think there was one raw material government ban, which was imported. After that, we are not able to successfully reformulate. We collapsed with that kind of thing. Other one, we quickly launched mineral water very, very early. And that was the good one to start with. We are able to sell, but it was very heavy. One case is about 18 kilos, 1.5 liter bottle. And we'll get 100 rupees value. Whereas one case of shampoo, which is 6 kilos, will give us 1,000 rupees value. Distributors are not interested. So it's so much more we have to invest. We have to take the stocks by tricycle. This is not on. So this kind of experience, I thought this thing, I have my own quota. If I'm to redo the whole thing, so with this kind of wisdom, what we have now, if I'm starting the business with this kind of wisdom, what I have now, way back in the year 1983, I think I would take only about, say, maybe about 10 to 15 years max to come to this level, not more than that. And I would like you to answer, Muruga. This kind of a thing, if you can quickly give a kind of glimpse to the audience, it would be nice.
Yeah, yes, CK. As I said, in 2006 or 5, we launched various other verticals. Well, that's a good strategy. Now, if you had the money or ecosystem like what is in India today, would have become successful in a couple of these verticals. Because at that point of time, the venture capital ecosystem was not as vibrant as what is today. Because raising $5 million, $10 million was itself a challenge. So what I would have done is, instead of launching too many verticals, I would have probably launched only few verticals. That I would have done instead of launching property, jobs, automobile, classified. Because we didn't have that leadership team, we didn't have the bandwidth, we didn't have the capital. Because launching is only one thing. Because the execution is the important one. So that I would have done it. Second, as recent as even the photography went. So while from matchmaking, we expanded into wedding services. We launched matrimony photography, was one of the verticals. See, typically the internet company, we better be a marketplace model or the online services company. We went to the full service model. So the internet company, we didn't have that strong execution capability of full service model. So in the photography venture, we are doing almost 1,000 wedding photography events per quarter. But every event is a challenge. We have to send photographer, videographer on time, and editing. All the things, it's not a typical internet business. We have to shut down that venture. We also launched Tambulya, return gifts venture. We had a physical stores. So that is not our core expertise, storing the inventories and selling returns. So basically, yeah, what is your core competence? And that's one thing, whether when you get into business, whether you're the right business or whether the right people in place, and how are you going to ensure that the business is going to be successful? So sometimes the idea gets, excited about idea, get into the business without having the right leadership team or people, process, and right ingredients, then trying to, to make the business successful. Just for the excitement, launch the business. So then now shut down the business, now focus on only marketplace model. Like that, while a lot of success, we have equal amount of failures. So, but every failure is a learning opportunity. Every failure teaches how you can become better entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Good, Muruga. Just want to ask you only one question. How many years it will take if you restart again with that time, 1997, with the current knowledge what you have? How much time you would have taken to build this current size?
Yeah, obviously, probably maybe one third or maybe less than half of it. Yeah.
Very good. I appreciate your honest answer. Let's move on to Girish. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we started Maxter, we wanted to be like every entrepreneur has a vision. So we wanted to be a content superstore. So you should have a magazine, newspaper, books, movies, and everything in one place. That was the whole vision that I started with. But then as we spoke about it, like Murugan, you said, execution is a problem. So we started putting everything into place. And then we said, okay, so doing everything like watching, listening, reading. Already there is watching, there is Netflix and all that. And for listening, there is Spotify and all those guys. So reading, maybe we should own that space. So we kind of narrowed down to reading. And then in reading also, we start, though the name Maxter was magazine, we started with the magazine, newspaper, books, everything we started at the same time. And it took about 2 years to realize that in magazines, we were number one. Newspaper was difficult to get on board itself because they were doing well on their own. And books, we had about 5 million books, but we were selling $300 a month. So with so much effort, we were selling nothing. So literally in a board meeting, board members were asking, now why are we even having this section? So we said, no, if people want to read. But they said, it's obvious nobody's reading. They're coming to Maxter for magazine. They're not reading books. If they want books, they'll go to Kindle. Then we did a whole bunch of, it took a month or two and, took ourselves out of the picture and sat and looked at it as a user and said, yeah, I use an app only for one thing. Right? It's like saying I should use one product for everything. So that I think all of us have learned that focus is very important. And if you're good at one thing, I think you should stick to doing that. So then we focused on the magazine side. Then we added newspaper later on. And now after about 9 years, we may be adding books again because now we have a different model which we can deliver on, which we didn't have all those days. So I think failure is continuous learning process for us. And we keep doing many of these, small, we have that, fail fast concept at Maxter. Whatever it is, we launch it. If it's not working, within a few weeks, months, we realize this is not going. We have enough data today and data analytics that we know what is working, what are people clicking, what are they reading, what are they not reading. So all that data comes to us and we have slightly more educated guess than just doing entrepreneurial. We guess a lot of things. We use gut feeling. We are using gut, but with data involved. So that is one thing. And I think, to reach where we are now, at least we would cut off 60% of the time if we started again.
Very good, Girish. Thank you. I think we have come to the end of the session. Thank you, Muruga. Thank you, Girish. I think wonderful listening to you. And I think definitely audience would have got a lot of value. One takeaway is a very important thing we all share in common. I think for the benefit of audience, if I am to sum up, is I think entrepreneurs are bombarded with a lot of ideas. That it's only somebody needs to be controlling them or not doing too many things. And I also had my own quota. That's no doubt on that. I think that is one we are all struggling. The second one, if you have to look at that, the execution puzzle. The puzzle of execution, the right talent to field, right man at the right job. Feeling that, I think, is one of the biggest problem we all go through. And in the process, we lose our precious time capital and also the capital of what is money also is being lost. And so end up, in other words, a wisdom, very knowledgeable person can do it in 1/3 of a time. We take extra 2/3 time to accomplish the milestone where we are today. I think that's a thought we would like to leave with the kind of audience. So those who are our budding entrepreneurs, please select your ideas carefully. Bet on 1 or 2 ideas big time. Not, I would say, only one idea big time. Establish, then chase the second one. But focus full-fledged on building the right talent, right idea, money, right software, and all those things will take us the kind of thing to next level. And all the best. Thank you very much. I thoroughly enjoyed.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Girish.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Madhavi.